Okay, I think we're live. Looks like we've got a couple of people already in here. So happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Hope this has been a pleasant day for everybody. How are you all doing? I hope I pronounced that right. Monkey Zaki. If it's 9 p.m. where you're at, then you're what, on the East Coast, I would think? 2 hours ahead of me? Tristan, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by, bud. Bang time, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Robin Barnes, how you doing? The grim perspective, I'm doing well. Just got done spending time with the family for Christmas. We already did like a Christmas celebration at the same time we celebrated my birthday last week, and now this was just a simple get together. We didn't exchange gifts or anything. We just spent some time together. Oh, you're in Puerto Rico. Okay, that's cool. So pretty much after a rather soothing day, I figured I would just end the day with doing a live stream and see if anybody wants to stop in and hang out. I actually am a little exhausted after last night. I don't know if everybody caught my latest YouTube video where I completed Dr. Dave's Run Your Age Straight Pool Challenge. Well, the professor, it's not that he felt the need to tell us that he was from Puerto Rico. It's I asked because he told me that he is currently 2 hours ahead of me. So I figured he was in the East Coast. So he just clarified it. Eric Pool Guy Simpson 29, thanks. Appreciate that you watched it. Yeah, I did have one constructive criticism comment, and that was to put up an indicator of where I was hitting at on the cue ball, and it's just hard enough work already to have a counter to go up at appropriate moments. And I was trying to get the video uploaded before today, before Christmas Day, and by the time I finished everything, it was like borderlining midnight. I think the official upload date does say December 24th, but when I look at it in my studio, it does say December 25th when I finally published it. So it was already bad enough that, when I record everything, I have to watch the whole video and then decide when that counter is going to go up, and then watch it all over again and try to remember where did I hit on the cue ball, because 50 shots in, I'm not going to remember almost every single solitary positional point that I hit on the cue ball. I'd have to judge how the cue ball reacts off the object ball, how it reacts off the rail, and then give some type of indication of where I think I remembered that I hit the cue ball. So can you only imagine that if I start running more than 50 balls, like how much work that's going to be to do all that editing? Stan Stiver, don't worry. There's going to be some straight pool tonight. I'm going to do a little bit of everything. Roopster, talking runs and making runs. Backwards billiards. I got the whole gang in here. Corner four billiards. G-man. This is too cool. All right, I tell you what though, I'm pretty much gonna let y'all decide what to do. I do have something planned here to where I'm not going to mess up and forget to turn off the face cam because once I do this little switch, it's gonna stay like this for the rest of the stream. Jaworski, how's it going, bud? Thanks for stopping by. Devin Burke, I am going to try. I mean, playing straight pool is going to be part of the stream. I mean, I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to beat my 50 tonight. It took me quite a few attempts to be able to at least get the 50 that I got last night. Not tonight, Tristan. I at least scheduled out that I'll do some 8-ball ghost, 9-ball ghost, maybe some 10-ball ghost, and then some straight pool. And of course, talk to everybody, see how everybody's day's been. Oh no, G-man, you're not going to need the buzzard tonight. Once I make one little switch, I'm not going to be switching back, and you'll see why. But I tell y'all what would you like me to start with? You want me to start with a couple of straight pull attempts, or some 8-ball ghost, or 9-ball or 10-ball ghost? Monkey Zaki, like I said, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Straight pool, otherwise known as 14-1 continuous pool or 14-1 straight pool, is where you use all 15 balls. And normally, when you're playing by yourself, if you check out the last video that I just recently published yesterday, you'll start with one ball outside of the rack. And what you want to do is to be able to shoot that ball into a pocket and then have your cue ball open the rack up so that you can continue running because every ball is going to be worth a point. And what you do is you score all your points that you can until you get down to one ball left on the table. And when you're down to that one ball, you want to re-rack the other 14 back onto the table and then just repeat the process. Try to make that last ball and then drive the cue ball into the rack again and just keep on going. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but the old world record was held by Willie Mosconi in like the high 500s, and I think it was last year or 2 years ago that John Schmidt finally defeated it with a 625. I think it was because Willie Mosconi's record stood for like 20 plus years. You know, and here I am. I'm just happy that I got a 50. Okay, warm up with 8-ball and 9-ball. I can certainly do that. So let's see if my little switch is going to work. Whee! So hopefully now you should see me in the upper right corner of the stream, and that's where I'm going to stay. Oh, it's 6:26. Okay. So now we're not going to have to ever worry about my face cam blocking the table because, like I said, the remainder of the stream is going to stay like this. So we want to start with 8-ball. So let's give it a shot. If any of y'all that are watching tonight are not familiar with Bang Time Pool's YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe to them and see the virtual 9-ball tournament that's currently going on, and then possibly an upcoming 8-ball tournament with ghost rules. All right, so in this version of playing the Ghost, I'm not going to take ball in hand since I can practically choose solids or stripes right after the break. And with this style of break that I'm going to do here, what I'm at least expecting is for either of the balls in the second row to hopefully fall into one of their respective side pockets. And then, of course, depending upon what the spread is, I'll decide what my set is. So I do hit the cue ball with a slight above center hit to try to squat it into the center of the table. And just like if you've seen any of my virtual 9-ball matches, I don't break really hard. So I think both of the balls were headed towards their respective side pockets, but one of them got kicked away, and I think the other one just missed. And I made a solid on the break. And this is what a lot of people try to argue about, that I should be able to choose whatever I want. And it's not like there's anything wrong with that point of view, because right now, from the current position of the cue ball, stripes does look easier to run. I could start with the one ball in the corner pocket, and that's just a more difficult shot to start with. So here, I'll tell you what, let me come look at the chat, and you guys decide. Should I try solids or stripes? Oh, trust me, Tristan, that was not a hard break. If I'm not standing up during my break, I'm really not putting any type of power into it. Let's see, XT Bum, how's it going? Todd, thanks for stopping by. Hey, Joe, how's it going? Okay, I see stripes, stripes, stripes. So I'm just going to go off of that. Yep, I got more stripes than I do solids, so we'll try stripes. So let's see here. Now, the interesting part is going to be this guy, because he has to go into this corner pocket, and then when I do that, then more than likely the 8 ball is going to go into that corner pocket as well. So I guess what I can do is try to start with the 11 ball, get automatic position for the 14 ball. Okay. From the 14 ball, I can get automatic position for the 10 or the 12 ball. Try to get off of this short rail a little bit, so I'm going to give this a little thump. Now, interestingly enough, the 15 ball can grant me an opportunity to take out the 13 ball. So I think that's what I'm going to try. If I end up missing the position by shooting it too hard, then my 9 ball becomes a backup ball. Oh, I think I missed it though. Yep. So if we were to say that I made it though, this is the position that I was looking for. Because now I can try to get position on the 9 ball. And let's see if I'm successful, and then the rack is over. So I wouldn't have got position on the 9 ball. The 2 ball got in my way, and I would have to jump at the 10 or the 12 ball. So much for that. That's going to be the interesting part about playing the 8 ball ghost. If Bang Time decides to put on a tournament for that. Even for myself, I think there's going to be a lot of low scoring in that tournament, because it's not really easy moving the cue ball around when you've got possibly 7 other obstacles to move around. So now we'll switch to 9 ball. Probably actually should be using a different rack. I don't know why I'm not changing my magic rack. All right. As long as this 8 ball magic rack cooperates, and if you've been following my tournaments or the tournament matches, you should know that that 5 ball is more than likely going to fall into the corner pocket. Okay, so we shoot the one ball into the corner pocket and just get position for the two. We should understand that the cue ball is automatically going to contact this side rail, so I just have to make sure that I get into this window between the 4 and the 8 ball. So now I can just roll the 2 ball in and have the cue ball come off the short rail for position on the 3 in the side pocket. I'm trying to debate if I want to stun the cue ball over here or try to do a stun follow and land right here for the 4 on the side, or just go all the way up, shoot the 4 over here. Because the 6 ball's over here, I'm probably better off trying to stun the cue ball off the 3 ball. But my window to cheat the pocket on the side pocket is really small, so I can easily miss this if I cheat the pocket too much. Otherwise, maybe I can just draw it back and shoot the 4 ball in the same pocket, but then I have to turn my cue ball loose to get position on the 6. Yeah, which is going to be that. Because I can't shoot the 6 ball here. I have to try to get somewhere over here so I can try to cut the 6 into this corner, which I can try to do if I shoot the 4 ball in the corner. 4 ball in the corner is just a more difficult shot and requires more control on the cue ball. But that's what I'm going to try. Okay, now I can either try to just roll the 6 in and get position for the 7 to go into the side pocket, or I can shoot the 6 ball with a little bit of authority, make the cue ball come off of this short rail, and then still be able to get position on the 7 ball. Both options are viable. So this will just come down to personal preference. Uh-oh. Okay, never mind. But y'all should know me by now. I do like to play with finesse. Now, if the cut shot were any thinner, then I clearly would have tried to have the cue ball come down here and then still get position for the 7 ball. Now all I'm going to do is just play a stop shot. Or I should say a stun shot, because the cue ball does move. Follow up for the 9 ball. So, unsuccessful 8 ball run, but a successful 9 ball run with no ball in hand. All right. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, I see we got Mr. Edit 1. How's it going, Darren? Yeah, Eric, the pool guy Simpson 29, and an 8 ball game really does need an amazing spread, or you just have to have some amazing skill. I think both go a long way. We got Backyard Billiards. How's it going, Chuck? Ron Phipps, how's it going? Chad Kandaris. Yes, in the current virtual tournament, if you don't take ball in hand and are successful at running out, you get a total of 11 points. Had I taken ball in hand, I would only be able to score 9, 1 point for each ball. Oh, I did get a request for that, so let me go ahead and do that. I'm talking about breaking with an open hand bridge. So it's not like there's anything wrong with breaking with an open hand bridge. I'm just going to advocate that I would like you to have control when you break. And if you're going to break with an open hand bridge, you have a very good chance that you're going to lift your cue off of your hand, off of your bridge hand. And the problem I'm going to have with that is if I ask you, when do you start picking up your bridge hand, if it's before, during, or after contacting the cue ball. Now, if you lift up your cue after contacting the cue ball, it's not really going to be that much of an issue because it's not going to do anything. But clearly, we should understand that if you start picking up your cue before or during contacting the cue ball, then there's going to be an issue. If you start picking up your cue before you contact the cue ball, then if you're trying to put bottom spin on the cue ball, for example, then you're more than likely going to put a center cue ball hit. Or if you try to pick up your, or if you don't know that you're picking up your cue while you're contacting the cue ball, then you're probably going to miscue. But y'all see the way that I break. This is really no different even with an open hand bridge because I tried to maintain control. And my cue stays in my hand. Now, bad setup for the 6 ball. I don't want to play the 6-9 combination. So this is where I will take ball in hand, at least on this one. And I have to think, how am I going to get this 6 ball away from the 9 ball? If I had the ability to do it right now, I would, but I don't think I can because the 8 ball is in the way for me to do that. Yeah, I can probably make the cue ball hit this rail, but I wouldn't have enough spin to be able to clip the 6 ball. Otherwise, I'm probably going to bank the 6 ball into the cross side pocket. I think that's what it's probably looking like if I don't want to risk making that any worse than it already is. So here, we'll play the 1 ball into the corner pocket. I hope y'all saw my last match where I missed a ball in hand shot after the break. So that's pretty much going to stay with me for quite a long time. And so let's hope I don't do it again. All right, so if I want, I can try to gently roll this forward to where I have a cut angle on the 3 ball. And if that cut angle is good enough, I might be able to separate the 6 ball away from the 9 ball. But I still have to make sure I have a shot on the 4 ball. So even if I get this breakout, I might end up ruining the entire rack because I won't have a shot on the 4 ball. So I do have to be careful here. And I think I got it. I don't think the 8 ball blocks me. It doesn't. So now I'm going to try to, what do I want to try to do? If I just make it, my cue ball is going to be somewhere right around here where I'll have to back cut the 6 into the side pocket. Maybe that's the best decision. Let's try that. Yeah, So now I can just draw off of the 6 ball. That should allow me to avoid the side pocket, and then I can probably put a touch of left spin on the cue ball to make sure I get position on the 7. Don't scratch. There we go. And here we draw back for position on the 8 in the side pocket. And this is a problem that I've been having during the tournament where I don't really draw my cue ball enough. That was the fault that I had in rack 2 where I didn't complete the rack. I mean, I barely missed the 4 ball in this corner pocket, but had I drawn the cue ball enough, it wouldn't have been a problem. But I am usually worried about hitting my cue ball too hard when I draw. Ha! And this shot looks familiar. I actually had this in one of my matches, except this was the 6 ball and the 9 ball was like right here. So let's see if I can repeat what I did. There we go. And I scored a 9. But that whole thing started off with the open hand bridge break, which is what Tristan wanted to see. And it really doesn't matter if it's 8 ball or 9 ball or 10 ball. It would still, for me, it would still be the same because I would make sure to break with the same amount of power. Try a break with a rail bridge on the short rail. For me, there's no reason to. I've already, shown how like particular ways that I like to break because they're predictable and I produce predictable results. So for me to break from the short rail, it would have to be similar to how I do with the classic break. So it would have to be 1 diamond away from the side rail and then just 1 diamond up so that I can bridge from the short rail. But if I'm going to do that, I might as well just push it 2 diamonds up and just break with an open hand or a closed hand bridge. Let's see what we got here. So Monkizaki, when it comes to trick shots, I mean, who doesn't enjoy, a good trick shot, right? So I mean, learning there's nothing wrong with learning how to do trick shots, but it's kind of interesting that if you can show yourself off by doing trick shots, but you can't show yourself off by being able to, put together like a 4-ball run or, let alone a 3-ball run. I think the priorities are a little backwards. I would rather see you be able to do a 3 or 4-ball run or possibly a break and run before you start showing trick shots. That's all. All right, let's see what else we got here. Anybody hit the buzzer tonight? No, you're not going to. Well, yeah, Tristan. I mean, if you're talking about like an 11 millimeter shaft or basically like a snooker shaft, I totally get your point of not using closed hand bridge because the shaft is just really small to have to wrap your hand around the cue. And actually, let me do this. Since I'm going to be talking for a whole minute, we can switch back to this, and I will remember to switch back. Um, so I totally understand why you would want to primarily just use an open hand bridge. I mean, that to me, that just makes sense. And that's why you see a lot of snooker players primarily play with an open hand bridge because snooker cues have really small shafts. No, a snooker stance is not uncomfortable for me. I actually find myself actually using it quite often now when I set myself up because, When I line up for my shot, my right foot and my right arm are already, and the cue is already behind the cue ball, pretty much where I'm going to be standing when I shoot. So all I'm doing is just taking that one step forward and then bending my left leg, keeping my right leg, not locked because I don't want to lock my legs out, but it does have a slight bend. So it's almost like I step into a snooker stance, but I don't do it all the time. Sometimes my right foot will actually be the one that actually steps back if I feel that I'm too standing up a little too tall. The grim perspective. No, there's not something that I'm doing with my fingers twitching. That is just a habit that has just been in my game forever. A lot of my APA team members say that I'm casting a spell because of the way I can move the cue ball around the table. So that's all it is just a habit. Oh, holy crap. Corner 4 Billiards with a 2.99 super chat. Thank you so much. That's my second super chat that I've gotten. How about a few demos on your long jumps? I mean, I can probably do some of that here in a bit. I had a jump shot in one of my virtual matches where I nailed that jump shot, but then I missed the next shot. And the next shot was actually a higher percent chance of just making it versus the jump shot. The jump shot was a lower percent chance of making, but I made that one and then missed the higher percent chance shot after that. Tristan, I don't know about that. The way I would answer whether or not if American pool players use their chest or chin to help straighten their cue is they're going to use whatever works for them. Like, there's not really a set way to do things. There's the fundamental way of doing things, but then there are a lot of professionals that, probably started with the fundamentals and then morphed into whatever it is that they currently do. And the biggest examples I can always think of is Efren Reyes and Francesco Bustamante, because they have an up and down motion when they stroke. And if you look back at some of like the old time pool players, and I wish I can just remember some names. I can't remember. I think his name is Eugene Puckett. He, I think, has his cue like always to the right of the. It might not be him, but somebody from that time frame starts their cue with right spin, always right spin on the cue ball. That's what it looks like he's going to do. But then when he finally hits the cue ball, he pulls his cue back in and hits somewhere else. It could be left spin, it could be center spin, draw or whatever. It's like he just at the last moment puts the final spin that he wants onto the cue ball. And I think the only reason why I knew that stuff like that was occurring is because he didn't want people picking up on what he was doing while he was playing so that they can learn from him. And at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. I mean, if you understand the physics of between cue ball, object ball collision, and cue ball to rail collision, you'll be able to determine what type of spins were put on the ball. So, like, if you watch the cue ball hit an object ball and come backwards, you are pretty sure that there was some backspin on the ball, regardless if it looked like they started with topspin. And if it hits the rail and spins left or hits the rail and spins right, like you'll be able to figure all that out. Nick G, I'm not going to do a 15-foot jump into a boot. I'll probably knock a hole in in my wall if I attempt to do that. Steve Josh, how do you figure out a 3-rail into the side pocket, long, short, long? Never been good at that. Well, I don't have a mathematical formula like I would for one rail kick shots, or the plus system for two rails, and then I think it's the corner five system for the three rails. All I know is this. If I start anywhere here, I currently know that since I'm 2 diamonds away from the corner pocket, if I were to kick at diamond 1 here, halfway in between, then I know I'm going to come to the corner pocket. Now, if I want to try to get to the side pocket here, because let's just say that there's a ball in the way, blocking that path, I know that I have to hit this rail first, or second, I should say, because this is going to be the first rail, this will be the second rail, and this will be the third rail. Because clearly, if I just hit this rail second, then I'm not going to come anywhere near the side pocket. So all I know is I can just make, this is going to be a guess. Since I know this is going to take me to the corner pocket, I'm going to go halfway up, and let's just see what happens. This is with no spin. See, and I come pretty close. It looks like I hit, what, diamond 2 here? So pretty much we try to do the same thing. So now that I'm about 3 diamonds away, now that I'm about 3 diamonds away from the corner pocket, if I go 1.5 diamonds over, I know that's going to take me to the corner pocket. And so since a half diamond shift worked from 2 diamonds, let's just try a half diamond shift again and see what happens. Again, with no side spin. I still hit diamond 2, but I come a little long this time. So what I can take from that is I can do the same exact thing, I think, and hit a little bit harder, because what a harder hit is going to do is going to shorten the rebound angle off of the first rail, which means I should hit the second rail a little bit later, and that might get me a little closer. Let's try that. I'm just going to try to do the same thing, but with a harder hit. And see, I got a little bit closer. So now at this point, this is where I'm probably going to try to put in some side spin, because what I do know now is I do want to keep hitting this second rail later. The later I hit this rail, then the closer I start to get to the side pocket. And really what I can do is, since I know that a half diamond shift is too much and I keep coming this way, then I'm just going to come back a quarter and try it again. See, I hit the rail much later, and I get very close to the side pocket. So I hope that makes sense. Usually what I try to do when it comes to quote-unquote guessing how to do certain things is using what I know and then making adjustments from there. So I know how to get to certain pockets with certain aiming methods, and so when I start with that as a foundation, then I just make these slight adjustments to try to figure out whether or not if I'm going to be able to get it to whatever other pocket that I need to get it to. So I hope that makes sense. Well, Joe, you just saw that when I tried to do the go to make it go wide by half a diamond, it worked in one sense, but it didn't work in another sense. So I don't think that's a clear blanket statement that you can say to do a 3-rail kick into the side pocket. TBZ, how's it going, bud? Thanks for stopping by. Speaking of which, how does the audio sound tonight? I'm still using this same piece here. Don't compare the audio to my last YouTube video, because that's using different equipment. That equipment is used for recording purposes, which I cannot reuse for streaming purposes. I actually did contact some people at OBS on their Discord, and they actually referred me to another headset that I am buying. It's not going to get here until after the new year. And it's very much like the one that I'm wearing when I did the straight pool challenge. It's a 2-ear hoop microphone headset where the microphone is going to be right in front of my mouth, except that attaches to a transceiver that sends a signal to a receiver that I can actually plug into my laptop. So hopefully that is going to be the final headset that I'll end up using, provided, of course, that the sound does sound better. Because I would like my live stream sound to sound like my YouTube videos, if that's possible, even from my garage. Okay, audio is good. I mean, what I know that the audio is doing is like a lot of the S sounds are very predominant, and then of course the balls banging around probably sound like firecrackers going off. Like I said, it's nowhere near comparison to like how my recorded YouTube videos sound, which is what I'm working towards. But as long as my speech is comprehensible and stuff, and it doesn't sound like too terribly loud or anything, that's really what I'm going for with these current live streams. I mean, Tristan, there's nothing wrong with breaking with your playing cue. I broke with my playing cue for a number of years until I finally got a breaking cue. The only thing you have to be aware of when you're breaking with your playing cue is the wear and tear that you're putting on your tip. The lifespan of the tip is going to be shorter because it's taking more abuse. So you'll have to change your tips more often. That's at least the big advantage of having a break cue. Besides the fact that the break cue is designed to withstand, power. So it'll actually last forever, which allows your playing cue tip to last for a very long time. As I've mentioned before, my Sean still has the factory tip on it, and that Sean is like 6 years old. I am going to still replace the tip with the How tip that I mentioned before. I just haven't done it. Professor 19 Billiards, I think this is the first time I've seen you in here. How's it going? Have I ever used the tricks like the spot on the wall trick for the 3-rail kicks? I have. I can attempt to do that here. Let me see, because okay, you should be able to see what the spot on the wall is for me. So this is I think it's Tor Lowry. I think that's how you pronounce his name. So on my table, my actual actually let's break this down with what Dr. Dave starts with first. He always says to start with the diamond after the side pocket with running English, which in this case, since I'm going to be kicking to the left, running English is going to be left spin, just to find a foundation of how my table behaves. So what I'm looking for is to see whether or not if that diamond is going to take me to the pocket. That's all I'm trying to figure out first. So I'm going to aim straight at that diamond with about a tip and a half of left spin and about a medium hit. And so if I watch and see where it ends up, roughly about a diamond and a quarter short. So now what I'm going to do is take that information and move up a diamond and a quarter to see if that actually takes me to the corner pocket. Same English and hopefully the same amount of power. Right, so that's what you're supposed to do with Dr. Dave's starting. So always start with the diamond after the side pocket, and then based on the result that you get here, you make an adjustment by going up. Now, once you find that spot, what you're supposed to do, according to Tor Lowry, is find a spot on the wall that you can reference. And what I saw on the live stream is the spot on the wall for me, if y'all can see, I think my picture-in-picture is blocking me, but you should see this coil of cable right here. This ends up being the spot on the wall. And so what that's supposed to mean is roughly almost anywhere I'm at on the table. If I move here, for example, if all I do is aim at that coil of wire with the same spin and the same amount of power, I should come pretty close to the same results. So if I wait and see where the cue ball stops, and then I'm just going to do the same thing again and just aim at that coil of wire. I don't even care about the table anymore. All I care about is that coil of wire. See? That's the spot on the wall. I think around here is where it starts to get a little fuzzy. Nope, maybe not. Pretty close still. But that's how the spot on the wall through your kick system works. Actually, this is becoming a little bit easier just to do these little transitions. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place. I'm not using the wrong diamond. I'm showing where to start and then how to make adjustments from there. Because I guarantee you, if I go to a 7-foot table, it's not going to be the middle diamond. And if I go to a 9-foot table, it's not going to be the middle diamond either. So that's why you always have to have a starting point, and then you start making adjustments from there. And then once you find it, then there are other systems that can actually allow you to make other adjustments. Because even Grady Matthews, in his Only Kicks video, he does a completely different system once you find where you're supposed to start. Can the stiffness of the shaft affect the cue ball deflection? Yes, I do believe the more stiff, meaning that the less the cue will actually flex when it hits, because like, you know, wood will flex when it hits. The less flex that it has, then I think the straighter that the cue ball is actually supposed to go right after contact. Yeah, Ben Thompson, like I said, the S's are very predominant with this Bluetooth earpiece here. And then, like I said, the ball soundings are like firecrackers. And currently, this is probably the best that I'm able to get my audio until I get my, hopefully until I get my different headset that I'm going to be using for future live streams. Donnell, I think it's Cuffy. You're talking about the ride the rail. That's probably something I'm not going to try to demonstrate on my table. Because are you asking about this? Because I'm just going to manually do this. I'm not going to actually do it. Are you talking about where you get your cue ball to actually jump onto the rail like this and come down and then come back onto the table to pocket the ball? Because I'm not going to try to do that on my home table and, you know, possibly launch it off of the table. But the simplest way I can describe something like that is, yeah, you have to jump the cue ball onto the rail. So that takes a precise hit. It takes a precise amount of power with precise amount of spin in order to get the cue ball to curve back onto the table. Tristan, I don't know why snooker players primarily use elk masters. You'd have to ask a snooker player. Hey, Joe, thanks for stopping by, bud. Have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. And if I don't see you again until the new year, have a Happy New Year. Yeah, I'm trying to catch up on the chats here. Oh, he means hugging the rail. Okay, I think I can probably, demonstrate that. Yeah, I think I can do that. So let me just make sure I'm caught up with the rest of the chat. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think I can try to demonstrate the riding of the rail. You're talking about, especially for a shot like this, you're talking about something like this and being able to make the 14 ball. So the problem that you run into, and actually Dr. Dave has a great video on this. The problem with trying to be able to shoot straight down the rail is that most likely you can't, even though I was able to. The thing is that especially with how the rails behave, more than likely what ends up happening is that the cue ball is actually underneath the rail. So the moment you spring the cue ball into action, it ends up rubbing onto the rail and it pulls itself away from the rail. And so the suggestion that is usually made is that you have to put, since I'm on this side of the table, I'm going to be putting left spin onto the cue ball, because what I want to happen is for the cue ball to kind of deflect away from the rail, but then since it's spinning to the left, it'll swerve back over after it passes the side pocket and still be able to make the 4 ball. So, but you just saw, I mean, as long as I'm able to deliver perfectly straight, then I'm still able to make the ball. But chances are you're not going to hit a shot like that, especially if in an actual game, because you're wanting to play position or something like that. So if I try to actually draw this ball, I think I'm more than likely going to miss if I don't use any type of left spin. Let me try to actually draw this ball. Oh, I bet. Yeah. See, so see, this is what I'm talking about, though. The cue ball had to have made contact away from the ball, because there's no way it can come back like this if it was a head-on hit. If it was a head-on hit, then the cue ball would just come straight back. So let's try it again with the left spin hit. And then now this is where I have to be able to try to accurately judge cue ball deflection and cue ball swerve at the same time. Yeah, okay. So if I try to draw this, get on the rail first. There you go. If I try to draw this with some left spin, what I'm hoping I do is adjust appropriately for the squirt and swerve in order to make the ball and be able to draw back, which I don't, because I end up missing. So like I said, if the cue ball is going this way, that tells you how I actually hit the 2 ball here. I had to hit the 2 ball to the right of its center in order for the cue ball to draw back to my right, when I really want the cue ball to try to draw straight back. So I hope at least that answers your question as to how to do this. It's not the easiest shot in the world to do. So I actually hit too far to the right, so I'm going to scoot in a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better, because at least the cue ball stays there. But you can, hopefully you can see the red dot. You can still see all the spin that's on the cue ball. Yeah, I think it would be about 1 tip, Donnell. And if I was on the other rail, then it would obviously be right spin, because like I said, you're trying to compensate for the squirt to push the cue ball away from the rail, and then the swerve to bring the cue ball back to the rail after it passes the side pocket in order to make the ball. All right, you know what? So we're good on cameras. Let's try this. I need this guy, this guy. Let's try some 10 ball, and then we'll try some straight pool. So this is no different than the 8-ball break. Pretty much almost expecting the same exact thing. I want to see that the 5-ball and the 8-ball to head towards their respective side pockets, and for the 2-ball and 3-ball to go 4 rails and head towards their respective corner pockets. But every other ball is still predictable as well, because the 7-ball and the 9-ball, they will bank off of the side rails and then go towards the side pockets, and then the 4 and the 6-ball will bank off of the short rail and head towards the corner pockets. That's where all 9 balls actually go. The 1 ball is just going to start tracking its way down here. Depending upon how hard I hit it, I could still actually pocket it here in this corner pocket as well. But this is no different than my 8-ball break. Ball in the side pocket, 3-ball got kicked by the 6-ball, which was heading towards here. I mean, everything pretty much behaved appropriately. But, not a very decent spread, so I'm going to have to practice the break a little bit more. I have to get here for the 2-ball in the corner, or maybe even the 2 in the side. Let's try for the 2 in the corner. And that's less than ideal. So if I cut the 2 in the corner with some draw, I think I'm going to run into the 4-ball as well, and that might help. The problem is that when I do hit this rail, I think I'll also run into the 7-ball, which might help too. I'm not entirely sure. That's at least my guess. Well, I at least missed the 7-ball, but I did hit the 4-ball. So I think now I'm just going to try to roll this into the corner and have the cue ball bump into the 5-ball, because then that should allow me to keep position for the 4-ball. Now the question becomes, is do I want to just roll this in and maybe have my cue ball stop right here, or push it all the way to the side rail, which means I'm going to be traveling further away from the 5-ball, hit the side rail, and then come out to roughly about the same position, just further away. And this is almost natural. Everybody should see that if I cut the 5-ball in, my cue ball hits the rail and automatically starts coming out this way for a position on the 6. I just have to choose the correct speed. And be able to make the shot. So that ends that rack. Oh well. Let's see. What are we talking about here? You guys got lots of conversations going on. Chris G, yes, that is the 12.9 Predator Revo shaft. I prefer 13 millimeter shafts, and so the 12.9 is the closest thing to that. I used to shoot with 12 millimeter shafts way back in the day, but I eventually changed as I got older. I mean, Tristan, it is a carbon fiber shaft, but it's a Predator carbon fiber shaft. It's not like a Q-Tech Synergy shaft or a Jacoby carbon fiber shaft. It is a Predator shaft. But yes, it is made from carbon fiber. Okay, TBZ, Bank Time did answer your question. There is no current rack order. I do believe the pockets are smaller on an English pool table, and they're also rounded like a snooker table. So you have to be a lot more accurate, especially if you're going down the rail in order to be able to pocket the ball in, because rounded pockets basically tend to bobble the balls out versus being able to bobble the balls in. Scooper JS, I like the idea that it's a revolution shaft. It's not a Revo shaft. G-Man, I don't really think there is an optimum pattern rack. It depends on what you're playing as. Like if you're going to be using soft breaking, for example, which a lot of tournaments don't really allow nowadays. Dr. Dave does a really good video because he was showing how Corey Deuel figured out how to do a good soft break in a 9-ball rack to where you set yourself up for an early 2-9 combination or even a 3-9 combination. And so if you're using soft breaking, I would say like the optimum pattern rack is to have the 2-ball and the 3-ball in between the 1 and the 9 to set up for those combinations. Other than that, like I don't really think there's a optimal pattern rack because it's not like a player is capable of being able to break with the same exact speed, contact the same exact spot on the 1 ball or whatever whatever games they're playing, and hit the cue ball in the same exact location. There's always going to be a variable that's going to slightly change the outcome of the layout of the table after the break. Adolfo, Aguirre, no, my family, we did a Christmas lunch. And so this is pretty much how I'm spending my evening now. Walking the dog from 1 diamond inside of the pocket. Well, I do have a ghost ball video. I would recommend that you probably go check that out. I think that might answer your question. But primarily, when you're talking about when an object ball is on the rail and you want to do a ghost ball technique, the thing, I think regardless of what aiming system you use, you just have to be aware that you certainly don't want to contact the object ball before you contact the cushion, because that throws the object ball into the cushion, and as it's going out, as it's going down the rail, it starts to track away from the rail, which means you're going to miss the pocket. So that's where you should have heard the notion about how you want to try to contact the ball and the rail at the same time, or try to contact the rail just like a millimeter or two right before the object ball, because what's going to happen is the rail is going to compress, and when it compresses and as the cue ball kicks itself out, it's actually hitting the object ball on the way back out at the appropriate spot for it to just track down the rail. Professor 19 Billiards, yes, pocket reducers do help, but just having the simple principle of aiming at the center of the pocket, depending upon what the opening that you have from the angle of the cut, is also that as well. If you know, for example, that you're just trying to always aim for the middle of the pocket of the opening that you have for the angle, and the ball still goes in, but it's not in the middle of the opening that you have, then more than likely you know that if the pocket were smaller, you're going to miss, right? So it doesn't really matter what size of the pockets that you actually have, because you always want to aim for the accuracy that you can have. So yes, smaller pockets force you to try to maintain that accuracy, because clearly if you don't have it, you're just going to miss. But like for my pockets, I currently have, I think it's 4.5 corner pockets and 5 inches for the side pockets. And then when I get my table redone, it's going to be 4.25 for the corner pockets and then 4.5 for the side pockets. So I'm going to force myself to be a little bit more accurate, because anytime I see that I hit a ball, my ball hits a rail and then goes in, I don't like the shot. I would rather hit the inside jaw of the pocket and for it to go in than to hit a rail and then have the ball go in. Where was that? I just missed a question. Where'd it go? What techniques can one apply to compensate for squirt? It depends on whether or not if you're using backhand English or fronthand English, and I will refer you to my side spin video for the answer for that. If you're a fronthand English user or a backhand English user. Yeah, Nick G, I specifically bought this hat yesterday for today, knowing that I was going to do a live stream today. I wanted to be in the Christmas spirit. Corner four billiards, that is absolutely correct, though. No aiming system will work unless you have a straight stroke. So how am I lighting my table? So I've mentioned this before, so I can try to do it again. So initially, what I had in my garage was this. If I just turn on the garage door opener motor, and I actually have a couple of other lights on. You turn this off. The garage door opener motor has a warm light bulb, which gives off this yellow tint that you should see. Right, everything still looks rather visible, but my front-facing cam is a little bit dark. But this is just from the garage door opener motor, and it's and the warm bulb that's inside of there. And then I don't know. Can you see my? No, you can't see my ceiling light. So the actual garage light that I have, I mean, I don't know how to best describe it other than it looks like a space shuttle. If you Google garage lights or look up garage lights on Amazon, you'll see some garage lights that look like space shuttles. But this light here, if I stand in front of my table, it's over here. So I don't know if you're able to see the shadows that it casts onto the balls to where, like, here's the ball and then here's the shadow. So it took me a bit to get adjusted to playing with this particular light here. And I had every intentions of putting other lights that I actually have that are right next to the garage door opener motor that shine completely down onto the table. And that's where I get this look here. So these are nothing but just fluorescent bulbs that I have, but there's two of them. So there's four fluorescent bulbs that I have. Two are on one side of the garage door opener motor, and then two are on the other side. And then one thing I'm trying to figure out right now is you should see how dark I look if I just stand in front of the pool table. But I do have one of my studio lights right next to the webcam, so that when I turn that on and stand in front of the table, then you should be able to see me perfectly. So what I'm trying to figure out now is this studio light is humongous. So I don't really want the studio light to be in here while I'm streaming. So this is what I can do to hopefully show you what the studio light looks like. I'm going to turn my laptop. Hopefully I'm allowed to, and nothing's gonna disconnect on me. Very carefully. There we go. And what I'll do is, let me just go ahead and switch. So that's the studio light that is right next to the webcam in order for when I stand in front of the table, you can see me perfectly. And like I said, look how giant this thing is. And I really wouldn't want this to be in here when I'm shooting, because there are times where, like, my foot might hit the stand of the light. So I am trying to figure out how to jerry-rig something to where I can possibly have ring lights around the cameras that I have, both my recording cameras and even my webcams when I do live streams. So that way I can stand in front of the table and you can see me. All right, let's see here. I don't think I'm keeping up with the chat. Hey, Donnell, no, not a problem. That's what I'm here for. Hopefully, to be able to answer questions, at least to the best of my ability. Let's see. So regular SSM. What's your aiming system? It's ghost ball combined with a little bit of fractional aiming. And what I mean by that is I've always been a ghost ball aimer for the longest time. So when I'm setting up for a particular shot, my right foot, my right arm, and my cue are already behind the cue ball with an estimated shot line aim at the object ball. Like I can practically see that I'm going to make the shot before I get down on the ball. I actually explained this in my pre-shot routine. But then when I get down on the ball, down on the cue ball to shoot the ball, I start looking at the inside edge of the cue ball depending upon the direction of the cut. So in other words, if I'm cutting to the left, I'll be using the left inside edge of the cue ball and see how it lines up with the object ball to know whether or not if I'm doing like a straight on hit or a 3/4 ball hit, half ball hit, et cetera, et cetera. And that's pretty much how I've been finalizing my aim. Now, the cool part that I tried explaining to someone before is this is where things get difficult, and I'm probably not going to be able to demonstrate this very well. But here's something I think people don't seem to understand. So when you look at two balls that are equal distance apart, you can see that they're roughly the same size. Right? So the problem is that the cue ball is always going to be closer to you than, so I'm actually going to put it closer to the camera. The cue ball is always going to be closer to you than the object ball. So the interesting part is if I try to line up center to edge on the object ball, which looks like this, it's actually not center to edge. Because what you have to remember is when the cue ball starts traveling away from you, it shrinks. And it ends up being rather a quarter ball hit. So those are always the hard parts when it comes to aiming, regardless of what aiming system that you're using, like especially when the object ball is way far away from you, like if you're on a 9-foot table or let alone a snooker table, right? So and that's why I try to figure out ways to basically paint a picture of what I'm looking at, and then when I finally pull the trigger to shoot the shot, I'll know if I'm right or wrong. So if I miss the ball, then I know that whatever picture that I'm seeing of how the cue ball is lined up with the object ball, I don't want to see that picture again if I have to shoot the same shot. Walden, Big A, how's it going, man? Thanks for stopping by. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I think I'm almost caught up with everything. Red tape. The APA does have a app for scoring. It's just currently not released for league use. Like it's in its, I think, I don't know if it's in its alpha phase or its beta phase, but they're on the verge of phasing the paper out. No, there's not going to be a buzzer tonight. I guarantee you that. I am not going to forget. All I have to do really is just do this, and if I really wanted to, I can just leave it like this, because then I don't have to worry about anything. But I do figure that when I'm trying to come talk to you, that that you'd want to be able to see me, even though I think the small picture-in-picture looks fine. Marcel Bustamante, the Predator Revo shaft came with a Victory soft tip. I bought Cyclops balls, Eric Pool Guy Simpson, because that's what was being used at BCA State. So I was trying to match with what they had, so like the next time I go to BCA State, I'd be familiar with the way the balls roll. Much like at the Texas State Open, they were using Delta 13 racks. So I went out and bought my own Delta 13 rack. So from time to time, I'll actually be practicing with this, so I can practice racking for myself with a Delta 13 rack and being able to practice my breaks. So it's all in efforts to be prepared for the next event. Now, of course, I think Cyclops has phased themselves out. I don't know if they're even still in business or anything like that. So, switching back to Aramith would be a thing. So I'm kind of torn right now between buying either the Aramith Black, which I know doesn't really work well for like YouTube videos or just like TV in general, unless of course I had magnificent lighting in my garage, which I don't, or getting the Predator Acros balls. Horatio, how's it going? All right, Backwards Billiards, thanks for stopping by, bud. All right, so it looks like I'm all caught up. So you know what? Let's try some straight pool. What do y'all say? Like, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be breaking my 50 record. But let's see what I can do. So we had a question earlier as to what is straight pool. So this is not how you would normally start an actual straight pool match. But if you're playing solo, this is how you would want to start. You basically would have a ball outside of the rack, and you want to be able to make the ball and then drive the cue ball into the rack to open the rack up, and then try to run a bunch of points. And so I'm a big fan of Dr. Dave, and so since he claims that shooting the one ball into the side pocket and hitting the cue ball with a little bit of top spin in order to run into the two head balls here is probably the best way to break the rack out. Turns out it's really true. And that's why you see that I started my Run Your Age challenge with this shot. Oh boy. So not a really good spread, but I do have a shot. So we're going to start with the 8 ball, because that's all that I really have. But this is really no different than any type of game that you normally would play. It looks like I can have automatic position on the 15 ball with hardly any cue ball movement, so that's what I'll be setting up for. Because once I move the 15 out of the way, then the 10 ball will be good. But from the 15, we can see that my cue ball naturally wants to track over here, so I can get positioned for the 12 ball. And I'm closer to the rail than the 12 ball, so that means I can actually move my cue ball. And so right now, if I want to try to decide what ball I want to use as a break ball, right now it's probably looking like the 3 ball or maybe even the 6 ball, to where I would want to shoot them into this corner pocket with a back cut, so that way the cue ball drives into the rack again. But if that's the case, then I need to try to develop a pattern where I leave them last on the table. I think here I'm going to try to set up for the 2 ball. So just follow the cue ball. I actually don't like the position that I got on the 2 ball, but I'm going to shoot it anyway. Okay, so if I were to choose the 3 ball, I have to figure out how to get the 6 and the 7 to go here, which I might be able to get position from the 4 ball, unless I want to try to get position on the 10 ball. Don't really want to shoot these guys yet because I have to bridge over all this mess, so I won't have that much control. Let's see here. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get position for one of these 3 because I'm going to flare the cue ball around. Don't touch the 3 ball, though. Okay. Now the important part is what to do after this. There's a possible combination here with the 14 and the 13 ball, but it's not wired. It's easy to play position for the 9 ball to go into this corner pocket, but getting it past the side pocket is actually the hard part. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be setting up position for that. I am a little straight on the 11 ball, so trying to make the cue ball go 3 rails to get position for the 9 to go in the same pocket is rather difficult. Otherwise, I'm almost forced to take out my 3 ball. Look from here. Well, I can try to muscle the cue ball and get over here, which might give me position for the 9 or the 10, but that's really risky. I'm going to try it anyway, though. Looks good. Give me position for the 10. Nope. If I shoot the 10 now, then I run into the 14 ball. That might actually disturb my 3 ball. But it still might be the right shot to take, because if I shoot the 9 ball now, the cue ball will come out this way, and I'm forced to take the 3 ball. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take the 10 ball. Let's see. I might get a shot on the 13 ball. Okay, I didn't disturb the 3 ball, which is good, but I made this worse. So now I have to shoot the 9 ball. That'll allow me to get position for the 7 ball. My 3 ball is still looking good. All right, this might be okay. I think I might be able to break the 6 and the 14 up. Well, not like that. I think that just ruined my run. Ah, let's have a look. The 13 ball would have rolled a little bit more. I could try to cut the 14 ball into the corner pocket. This really doesn't leave much for me here. Yeah, so all I have left is a Hail Mary shot here. I'm going to try to carom the 6 ball off of the 3 ball to go into the corner pocket, which means I lose my break ball. I'll have to try to figure something out after that. Gee whiz. Hey, okay. Now what? All right, let's try the 13 all the way down. And that ends it. So that's what, a 12? I guess not bad considering what I had. I ended up overcutting the ball. I am Chase. Welcome to my channel. I think this is the first time I've seen you. Why are we watching you play pool with yourself live? This is a perfect opportunity for open discussion with followers. Oh, well, see you. Well, I mean, I talk to the followers. I just play pool while I'm doing it. Let's see. Horatio, any advice on how to mentally get out of a slump? Well, what is like? Let's be a little bit more specific. Like, what slump are you referring to? Are you referring to a slump of too many consecutive losses? Are you referring to a slump of missing one shot after the other? Because if I think both scenarios just require two different answers. So let's get a little bit more specific, and then I can try to provide you an answer. The grim perspective, I have Predator chalk. That's the chalk that I primarily use from here on out. How did I do last Tuesday? That was my last match. I won. I don't remember what the score was. Bang time, you'll have to maybe put up what the final score was. Oh, you were watching Corner for Billiards and came across my channel? Well, that's awesome. I mean, Corner for Billiards is my buddy. He's a fellow Texan like me. Missing simple shots over and over. So the best way I know how to describe getting over that slump is, one, focus on making the shot, right? Because we all should know and understand that the game is more than just making a shot, right? You have to make the shot and then get position on the next ball. And what tends to happen when you start falling into a slump of where you're just missing balls after that is because you start to become, or you start to have more attention on getting the position for the next shot than you do the current shot. Right? So my recommendation would be is make the shot. Just focus on the shot. Don't try to slam the ball or anything like that. Give it a good like lag speed hit and really start to familiarize yourself with how the cue ball naturally rolls off of the object ball, and as long as you're still making the ball. And then what you're supposed to be able to deduce from that is figure out whether or not if the natural position that the cue ball is already going to do is going to be enough for you to have another shot on another ball. It could be, even if the next shot is like a long distance away, it really doesn't matter. Because over the course of time, what you should be able to realize is you're going to shoot a shot and realize, oh, the cue ball is not going to roll far enough. So you'll know to hit the cue ball a little bit harder, or the cue ball is going to roll too far. So maybe you can hit the cue ball a little bit softer, but then you have to start recognizing that if you hit the cue ball softer, it still has to be hard enough to make the object ball. But I think the main thing you would want to focus on is just making the shot. Don't worry about the position. As long as you get back into making the shot, then start worrying about the position afterwards. Thanks, Bang Time. The final score was 59-37, and I remember I was sitting at 55 on the last rack, and I had predicted that my final score was going to be 66, which was 1 point higher than the current record that I set for this tournament, which is 65. So I was attempting to go for an 11 on the final rack, because I think that during that whole night I only had one attempt at 111, and I failed. So I was going to try it again on the final rack, but I scratched on the break, so that completely threw the 11 out the window. And then I, even with ball in hand, I just failed to run the rack. G-Man, how did I become interested in pool? Well, I mean, it was just a fun activity that me and my friends used to do back in high school. I actually tell the story about it in my Pool Talk series on episode 1, where I was basically just interviewing myself. But I can tell the story here, so story time. So me and my best friend, we would go to the pool hall that I grew up in on basically every weekend, and we would play against each other. And at the time, my best friend was a better pool player than me, meaning that he would just beat me more than I would beat him, because we weren't really pool players. We just liked to play pool. And every now and again, other friends would join us. But finally, on one particular weekend, nobody showed up but me. Right, so I was just playing by myself, and I eventually started to get bored, and I saw that there was a gentleman by himself playing, but he was playing on the 9-foot tables, because when me and my friends would go, we would just play on the 8-foot tables. So I go and introduce myself to him, and he's playing 9-ball, and I asked if we can play. And at the time, I didn't know how to play 9-ball. All we ever did was play 8-ball. So he explains the rules to me, shoot them in numerical order. If you drop the 9-ball after hitting the lowest ball first, you win, or get to the 9-ball and make it, you win. So that was cool. All right, so he does the first break, makes a ball on the break, and his first shot was a draw shot. So if you can imagine yourself, take away all knowledge that you currently have on pool, and imagine how you would react if you just understood basic physics of knowing that an object is going forward and it collides with another object, but then all of a sudden that ball comes backwards, right? Because that's basically what he did. He did a draw shot. And that completely blew my mind. I had no clue. I had no understanding of how that happened. And that's what basically did it for me. And my jaw drops, and I just looked at the guy and went, how did you do that? And he started showing me how to, manipulate the cue ball at a basic level, because I think at the time, if like his APA skill level is the best way for me to rate him, I think he was like a 5, where I was coming in as like a 2 or a 3. And I was pretty much hooked. Like after that, that's when I really started studying how to play the game, and I've been doing it ever since, and still studying how to play the game. Uh, J Groom ASB, have I drifted away from CTE? I was never an active CTE user. The only reason why there are 2 CTE videos on my YouTube channel is because my viewers asked me to attempt to explain the CTE methods. So I studied it for a little bit, looking at multiple resources, not just one. And I don't even know if I interpret it correctly. I was able to, at least demonstrate the moves as far as manual pivots, and then what I thought was how you're supposed to line up the cue ball to the object ball, et cetera, and then demonstrate different ways, because I put out 2 interpretations. My first one, which was like a very basic one that doesn't even really follow like the heart of what I think CTE actually is. And then my second interpretation was had a lot more detail inside of it, which I think is a little bit closer to what CTE is. But again, I'm not going to say that it's how you're supposed to do CTE. I'm not the creator of it. I just studied it based off of what I was able to read, videos that I was able to find on YouTube, and what I was able to replicate onto the table. And come to find out, with my interpretation of it, other people have been able to figure it out. Now, whether or not they're just doing strictly what I demonstrated, or what I hope they're actually doing is they're taking pieces from me, pieces from other people, and other resources, and figuring it out for themselves. Because I make sure to clearly state in my video that I'm not showing you how to do it. I'm showing you the way I think that it's done, because I'm not the creator of it. Yeah, Horatio. So like if you're forcing the cue ball around, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. You can ask Walden Big A. He's one of my APA team members. Every APA team member that has ever played for me, the very first thing I ever say to them after watching them play pool for the very first time in front of me is I tell them stop hitting the cue ball so hard. That's always the very first thing. Every single player that has ever played for me, that's the first thing I always say to them. And because I want to see if they know how to accurately predict where the cue ball is going to go from a natural cue ball center ball hit with a medium lag speed hit. Because if they don't know, if they can't predict that, then they're not going to be able to accurately predict top spin, bottom spin, how the ball is going to react with left spin or right spin off of a rail, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I make sure that I have them focus first on making the ball and then understand where the cue ball goes after contacting an object ball. And that should make them aware of whether or not they're going to scratch, right? So if they know that they're going to scratch, then they know to try to put top spin or bottom spin on the cue ball to try to avoid the scratch, depending upon what the cut angle is. When they start realizing the angle the cue ball goes into the rail, and in the angle that it comes out of the rail, then they start to learn how much left spin or how much right spin they need to put on the cue ball, et cetera, et cetera. But all coming from the foundation of just make the ball and then learn what the cue ball does all by itself to determine whether or not if that's going to be enough to get position on the next ball. Tristan, when I get to your video, I'll you know, give you like my estimate of what I think your APA skill level might be. I'm pretty sure APA is not in. Did you say you're in South Africa? But I mean, I can make an assessment based off of what I see. Adjustments from a 7-footer or to a 9-footer. I mean, angles are angles. The only difference really is that with a 9-footer, your target is a lot farther, so therefore you have to be more accurate, right? When you're trying to make a ball into a pocket, you have to be more accurate in how you're aiming. So the adjustments that you're making on the cue ball as far as power, because you do have to make the cue ball travel a little bit farther, it's still going to be very little, and that's why I would suggest like the crawl, walk, run, fly method, and that's when you go to a 9-footer. Don't think you're playing on a 9-footer. Still play like you're playing on a 7-footer because you want to focus on making the ball and seeing how far the cue ball is going to roll based on the way you know how to hit the cue ball when you're playing on a 7-footer, and find out if it's enough. Because if it's not enough, then you start making your little adjustments that you need to make as far as hitting the cue ball a little bit harder because you need the cue ball to travel a little bit farther, et cetera, et cetera. What's my Fargo? Well, let me look it up. Last time I looked it up, I think I was a 617. But let me look it up. I'm a 614 now with a robustness of 930. Have I ever been hustled in a game of pool? I don't think so. I don't think I've actually been hustled. I've been defeated out of a lot of money due to my ego when I was younger, like giving up too much of a handicap that I should have been. But I don't think I've ever fell victim to someone holding back their skill and then trying to erupt when the money was right, which is what I'm assuming you're referring to hustling. Tristan, I did see that video where Alex Baguline bet $10,000 on a coin flip and lost just on a 50-50 coin flip. Was it 10,000? I thought it was 5,000. Oh, he tried to bet 5,000 afterwards. Okay. Chris, ever thought about doing online coaching? I've been asked that multiple times. The current answer is no, primarily because I just don't have the time. for it. I mean, I work a regular 9 to 5 job. I have 2 APA teams, one 8 ball and one 9 ball that I do try to manage, and I train the people that are on the team there. And we're also all good friends. Like we even hang out outside of the pool hall and stuff, and then manage my YouTube channel and stuff like that. So like my time is just very limited. And that's why like I'm really behind on reviewing the coaching videos that I have to do. I think I have currently 6 videos that I'm supposed to review myself, and like 6 or 7 videos that me, Nate, and Demetrius are supposed to review. So for me to do online coaching, I would probably have to take away my live streams in order to do that. And right now, I'm really, really enjoying doing live streams. I enjoy getting on the cameras, playing for you guys, letting you see how human I actually am when I start making mistakes, and of course, getting to know everybody. It's a lot of fun. So at the time, I have to say no to online coaching. That's why I don't mind doing the pool coaching lessons because it's kind of the same thing. That's because I do spend hours on those videos. Like if a player sends me 30 minutes of footage of them playing through 3 racks of 8 ball, I could possibly spend like 2 to 4 hours watching a 30-minute video over and over again to really try to nitpick apart things I think they need to work on. That I think that, in my opinion, I think would just help improve their game. I mean, just ask Bang Time. He sent me a video, and I reviewed it for him. And Bang Time's a really good pool player, but I was still able to find something that I was able to give him that that hopefully he found helpful. Tell us a funny story about your APA team, and feel free to pick on the head chipmunk. And he's referring to himself. So I'm not going to demonstrate the story that I'm about to tell because I don't want to hurt my stick. But with my APA players, I do record their matches and I give them pool coaching lessons as well, but I give them a whole lot more detail than what I give on my YouTube videos because there's just a whole lot more information for them to learn from. And I do want to keep those pool coaching lessons between 30 to 45 minutes long so that way viewers can actually watch them. But in the videos that my APA team members get, they do get a little bit more detail, which their videos tend to be close to an hour or so long. I think the longest one I've ever had was like an hour and 45 minutes because of the amount of detail that I have in there. But Walden Big A currently has the funniest story that I can ever have, and I still have this video captured, but no one's going to get to see it because that's just the respect that I have for my players. But since he said to tell a story, I'm going to tell this story. So we're playing 8-ball, or he's playing 8-ball in his match, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but all I know is I think this is his first or second session in APA, and he's on the if I remember correctly, he's on the 8-ball, and he misses the 8-ball and I think scratches or goes into the wrong pocket. And how many of y'all have ever done this to where when you lose the game, whether it's 8-ball or 9-ball, you just basically want to throw your stick onto the table, right? Everybody's done that. But the funny part was he threw his stick onto the table, but it doesn't make it onto the table. It basically lands right here and then bounces, and when it bounces back onto the table, there's more weight here. So his cue comes back up and then hits the floor and then just rolls down this way. Now, the funny part is this is the camera that he's facing, and after he did it, he just threw his stick and then turned around and started looking like this. So he's completely unaware of what's happening to his cue. And while I'm reviewing his video, I'm just dying laughing at what's happening here because it's just so, to me, it was just hilarious. And so he gets to see that, and the main reason that I start dying laughing and for him to see that is to try to portray to him that these are pains that I've already gone through. And so actually when I see my own team members go through the same pains, it is quite humorous to me, and I try to prepare them to better handle situations like that. So that way they can actually enjoy themselves. Of course, it sucks to lose. Nobody likes to lose a pool game, but I just don't think, now that I'm older, it's just not important enough to like lose your cool and just basically ruin your entire night over a loss. The Grim Perspective. I am not sponsored by Predator. So when I knew that I wanted to get the Predator Revo shaft, I just like my stuff to match. So I went ahead and bought a Predator Q. And actually, I think the lighting is good enough now, so hopefully you'll be able to see this. I'm eventually going to do a review of the Predator Revo shaft that I have, but hopefully the lighting is good enough. I don't know if you can see that the shaft itself is like a light gray or a lighter shade of black versus the actual black that's on the butt of the Q. And this was my first pet peeve about the Revo shaft, is that it's just the shade of black is not the same between the shaft of the Q and the butt of the Q. But I got over that real quick. Yep, I did it again. So hit the buzzer. So look at it again. That's the problem. So hopefully the lighting here with the studio lamp that I have, you can hopefully see the shade of black that you have here in the shaft with the shade of black that's in the butt of the Q. So there, it finally happened. So now I'm gonna leave me in the upper right corner so I don't do it again. And it doesn't look like you can tell now that I just saw the replay. Jaworski, a good question to get the chat going for you is, why do you think snooker players struggle to going to pool, and why do pool players struggle going the other way? I think the simple answer is the same reason why pool players, there are certain pool players that are better at 8-ball than they are at 9-ball, and there are certain pool players that are better at 9-ball than they are at 8-ball. It's just a matter of the strategy, the mental thinking and stuff of how you actually play the game and how you approach the game, along with your skill set of what you're actually able to do. Typically, like in an 8-ball game, there'll be a lot less cue ball movements because you have multiple balls that you can play position for, whereas in a rotational game, you have to go from one ball to the other, which means you could be going from one end of the table to the other for position, and not a lot of players are accurate enough to be able to do that. So when it comes between like playing snooker and playing, what are you transitioning from? Are you transitioning from snooker to 8-ball or snooker to 9-ball? It's just a completely different game. So if you just don't know the strategy of how to play a certain game, yeah, it's going to be difficult for you to be able to transition. If you're able to quickly transition between the two different strategies, then you'll be fine at the game. All right, let's see. Where are we at? Oh, I am Chase. That's pretty much what I enjoy doing. Every active pool YouTube channel, I do try to support in one way or the other, because that's pretty much what we're here to do is support one another. This is one big nice community that we have here. But if you want to look at it like a hierarchy structure, somebody has to be on top, and I'm not actually the person that's on top. I'm like in the middle. Because the top people right now are Sharavari, Dr. Dave, and Dupree Trick Shots. They're the ones that have over like 100,000 subscribers, and I'm halfway in the middle. So those that are underneath me, I do try to help them with their exposure and making sure that people are aware of their videos, and then I try to appear on their channels and stuff to I don't know if the word is clout, use my clout to help them grow. And I do try to give them suggestions on what I think they should be doing in their YouTube videos, because it pretty much mimics what I do in my YouTube videos, because what I've currently done has been successful for me. So it's, you know, the simple notion of if it's successful for me, it should be successful for somebody else. But yeah, I mean, you know, you know, don't hesitate to subscribe to all the other pool channels that are in this chat right now. I'm pretty sure they would all be appreciative, which goes for everybody else that's in the chat. Make sure you do subscribe to, like, you know, Bang Time Pool. We have Corner for Billiards, Jaworski Pool Practice. Robin Barnes, he's got a couple of videos on his YouTube channel. I don't know how much like he actively keeps up on it, but every now and again you'll find a video on him. But those that make YouTube videos in here, you know, be sure to support them. Eric Court, I have not tried the Jacoby carbon fiber shaft. I do have a Jacoby. If you saw my unboxing video that I have on my YouTube channel, I won this guy in a raffle. It only cost me $100. This is the Jacoby, I think it's the HB7, and this thing is retail valued at $1,450, and I managed to snag it for $100 in a raffle. I think this is a 12 3/4 millimeter shaft, and it came with a or I asked that it have a Zan medium tip put on it. What is this? This is it says EH Ultra Pro by Jacoby shaft that's on here. And this thing feels amazing. I used this cue to showcase it in my straight in pool drill video, where I was able to show center ball hits or stop shots, follow shots, and draw shots. And right now, if I were to rate all my cues from like best to worst, it currently would sit at to where my Predator cue is the top, and then I think my Viking cue is in second place. The Jacoby cue is actually in third place, and my Sean is now sitting in fourth place. But that might change when I put that when I put the how tip on my Sean. North Star, I haven't really cleaned my carbon fiber shaft all that much, so I'll pay attention for any black residue. I mean, heck, I might as well do it now. Let's find out. Because I have the cleaners. So if you're getting some residue, that might actually be the chalk that's coming off the shaft. So here's the Revo wipes that they usually recommend that you clean these things with. So let's see what happens. Let's see how dirty this shaft is, because it's been a while since I cleaned it. I'll probably get a regular paper towel to dry it off. I mean, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little bit of residue, but it looks more like chalk than it does anything else. Let me try bringing it to the face cam. Yeah, this looks more like chalk. So yeah, it looks like you can see it. If I do this, yeah, because this looks like chalk. If this is what you're talking about, which I think is normal. Is it harder to make a ball when the 8-ball, 9-ball, or 10-ball is on the spot? Not entirely sure, because I don't really play all that often with that variation. I do know that if they are on the spot, that means it should be easier to make the one ball into the side pocket, which I'm very familiar with doing with the cut break. So, but I do think at least the number of predictable balls changes when the money ball is actually on the spot. So I'm not going to play 8 ball with English pool rules. I don't know what they are, and I'm not going to spend the time on the stream to figure it out. Maybe after I learn what the rules are, then maybe I'll try it again for a future stream. Oh, I just saw a question that I want to answer. Where did it go? G-Man, would you or could you say your YouTube be considered full time? No. I do make some money off of YouTube, but it is nowhere near enough for me to be able to sustain a living off of. Will I ever get to that point? I have no idea. But like right now, I can honestly say that if I was making enough money to be able to make a living off of, I would still be a software developer because I truly enjoy being a software developer for the same reason why I like having a YouTube channel because the software that I work on helps people. It makes their job a lot easier when you have a piece of software that basically automates a manual process. Just like if whatever I'm teaching in pool allows you to become a better pool player. I'm having some sort of an effect to improve somebody's quality of life in being able to enjoy something or do something better, more efficient, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all the same to me. William Shepard, does Rotation Master have 100,000 or like? I mean, I'm here to help anybody. It really doesn't matter. But like, I don't even have 100,000 subscribers, and let alone what I'm doing right now to help the smaller channels, it's not like they're instantly coming up to the amount of subscribers that I have. I mean, it just takes time. You can ask any of the YouTubers that I actively talk to that's in the chat room. Since I've been helping them, it's not like their channel has like drastically blown up because they'll ask me like, what did I do to get where I'm at? I explain to them what I've been doing, like how I structure my videos, the amount of time that I put into editing them, how I handle the camera angles, et cetera, the way I talk, the way I present the information, the way I demonstrate the information. These are things that I basically give to them as advice. I do recommend that they don't basically copy what I do. We don't want to copy one another, but if we're going to talk about the same thing, we do need to make sure that we try to put our own little twist on something. So like simple examples would be like if you look at how I did the straight pool challenge. Dr. Dave did voiceover explanations, and there's like times in his video where you can actually actively hear him say something, but for the most part he does a lot of voiceovers. So when I saw like even Cherivari was doing a bunch of voiceovers in his earlier videos, so I said to myself, well, I'm not going to do voiceovers. I'm going to actively talk to the camera, and that's how I've been doing my videos. And the things that I decided to do in making my YouTube videos has worked for me. Does that mean it's going to work for everybody else? No, of course not. But I do give it as an advice that you might want to consider, saying something a certain way or demonstrating something a certain way. Corner for Billiards is, one of my buddies that I told him that he has a lot of drill videos on his channel, and I said you might want to try explaining what you're doing in the drill, like what's the benefit of doing the drill, because just someone watching you go through a drill, in my opinion, just serves no benefit. Even if they knew where you're hitting at on the cue ball, because they'll have a cue ball diagram, but like they have to try to deduce, well, how is this going to make me better? And so to cross that bridge, you just make it easier for the viewer by telling them like why you should do this drill, and you do all the footwork for the viewer to be able to have the benefit of watching your video. Do I have the grim perspective? Do I have a table cleaning regimen? No. What I do use though, right back, Because I used to vacuum and brush my table, and then I eventually ran across this guy. I'm going to switch perspectives. There we go. Then I ran across this guy. And you can see how dirty this thing is. But what this does is that it actually pulls the chalk off of the table and sticks itself to this thing. And then I vacuum this thing. So that way it protects my felt from getting sucked up from the vacuum, because the felt will eventually stretch after repeated vacuum. So this is what I use to clean my pool table. Now, at some point in time, I'm eventually going to get my table completely refelted. So I've already got the felt and I've got the shims to make my pockets smaller, but I just haven't contacted the guy that's going to do it for me yet. Let's see, what am I at? Currently at 2 hours. I think I'll probably go for maybe another hour, and then I'll call it a night. All right, have a good night, Jaworski. Thanks for stopping by. 8-ball run out. What do I think of the new Predator balls? I mean, I haven't hit with them yet, but I'm currently torn between buying a set of them or buying the Aramith Black. Like, is the reason why I want to at least have more pool balls is because I want to do some goofy videos, like try to break and run a 36-ball rack or something. And I currently do have a set of snooker balls, so I can currently attempt to do something like that. But it's just I'm not entirely sure what to think about them until I have a chance to hit with them. I think I'm almost caught up with it. Dr. Dave has been putting videos out regularly, but I'm pretty sure he's also enjoying retirement. I don't know what his like regular schedule is of like how often he plans on putting out a video. Like I try to stick to putting out at least one video a week, and the key word is try. But anybody that knows me, that it takes hours to make a YouTube video. A 10-minute YouTube video can take anywhere up to 3 plus hours to make. I mean, sometimes I've actually spent multiple days in actually making a YouTube video. So it's a lot of work, depending upon what type of standard you put on yourself and the quality of the video that you want to be able to put out. Well, yeah, Chervary did do his 24 videos, but then because that's what he was just planning on doing for the end of the year. Now that that's over, I'm pretty sure he's going to want to get some sleep. We might actually see him pop in here if I stay on long enough. Oh, the felt looks perfect on camera, Chad. I guarantee you there's a lot of burn marks, ball track marks and stuff. It's just because of how far away the camera is from the table, and the lighting that I have is why it looks like it's in pristine condition. It's not. I guarantee you that. Bang time. I don't think I'm going to make tomorrow's match, meaning to like do commentary or anything. I am going to be hosting a 9-ball tournament at my local pool hall. So I'll be lurking in the background because I'll have my computer with me to be able to watch and like maybe participate in the chat. Was that microfiber? I honestly don't know because it's been a while since I bought this. Let me look. Let's see if there's something that explains what this is. It comes with a little booklet. Let's see here. Oh, this is interesting, though. It says each Ioannis Simonis billiard tablecloth has 3 different markings guaranteeing the authenticity of the product. On the selvage edge, the logo representing the original signature of the Ioannis Simonis, the name Iwan Simonis followed by the name of the article, and then somewhere in the middle of the cloth is a marking that's visible under UV light of the name Iwan Simonis and the serial number of the roll. So like that's for the felt. That's actually really interesting. But I'm not seeing what actually might be. Currently, I don't know. This is called the Simonis X1. That's what I'm using to clean the table with. Okay, so the Simonis X1 works by static electricity and by capillarity. It is therefore a very flexible and rapid, It is therefore a very flexible and rapid back and forth movement and not exaggerated pressure, which would be needed for optimal effectiveness of a brush. So you're supposed to move it with the grain of the cloth, so either up and down or left and right. It says it possesses a high absorption capacity and can easily retain the dust of half a chalk in its textile structure. Once the Simonis X1 no longer seems to retain the chalk, all one has to do is release the dust absorbed by the high-tech structure to restore its initial effectiveness. And to do this, you just basically vacuum it. So I can use it over and over and over. But I'm still not seeing like what it's made out of. Yeah, this book still doesn't explain what that material actually is that works with static electricity. The Grim Perspective, I already have Simonis 860 that I'm going to recover the table with, but thank you. All right, I need to try to actively catch up so I can go back to playing pool. Let's see if there's any other questions. What is 3-ball and how can that help my game? I mean, it's the simplest way I know how to explain it. Make sure the cameras are right. I actually have a template for 3-ball. Actually, I have a rack for 3-ball. And what I have typically seen is when there's a group of us and nobody wants to gamble one another, then what we do is we play 3-ball. And that's done by this. And the objective is to make the balls in the least amount of strokes. And I think there's variations to the rules, like you run them in numerical order, or you can run them in any order that you want. Like I said, I'm going to keep bragging about Dr. Dave, but he's already got a video on how you can like consistently make a ball here. But even the first break, that's 1. And so it looks like I can almost make the 2-ball, and then I can probably make the 1-ball on the cross side. So every stroke counts. So I'm already currently on 1, even with the break. So right now I can possibly get a 4 if I were to just run this out. And so that would be a negative. So now the least that I can get is 5. And what we typically do in a group is we'll just play $1 a person. And then whoever has the lowest score at the end of a round, after everybody basically takes their turn, wins the pot. But if there's one tie, then the pot will do a rollover, and everybody has to pitch in another $1 in efforts to try to see who's going to have the least amount of strokes. Now, but what we do, though, when we're actually playing, is that we don't rack 3-ball like that. We rack it like this in a straight line, because it just makes it a little bit difficult, or more difficult, to be able to make a ball on the break. We don't actually play 3-ball with the balls racked in a triangle. All right, I think that's enough. So now let's go do another rack. So let's try 8-ball again. And let me make sure. Yeah, we're fine. So I was currently unsuccessful at the first 8-ball rack that I tried. All right, so let's see what kind of spread I get here. Squat the cue ball in the center of the table. Looks like it's going to be a dry break. Nope, 3-ball in the side pocket. Okay. So I'll do the same thing again. Which ones do y'all want me to try to run? Solids or stripes? All right. I'll try a monster break on the next game. Let me see some votes. Do we want solids or stripes based on what y'all see? Anybody? Solids left-handed? And 1 vote for stripes. I like let me look at solids. I like the solids with the left-handed vote. Let me look first. Because that just sounds like fun. Okay, so yeah, we'll try solids left-handed. Oh gosh, and that's an instant no. So if I were playing a regular game, I would switch to stripes now. So I'll still stay left-handed. Well, I have to focus a little bit more when I play left-handed, so I'm not gonna do much commentary. And if anybody's wondering how I'm able to do this, practice, 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 practice. There are times when you are not sure whether or not to get the bridge or shoot left-handed. I've done both. It's just lots and lots of practice. Oh, that's disgusting. Okay, so I know the 14 ball naturally wants to do this if I cut it into the 7 ball. So I'm going to call the 14 ball right here. And I'm going to try to help it by putting top spin on the cue ball, so that way I transfer bottom spin onto the 14 ball. I'm even going to throw some left spin to transfer right spin onto the 14 ball to see how much closer I can get to making it, or just completely miss it. See? And then let's just pretty much call it a rack after that. But that's the advantage of, having all that type of knowledge of understanding how spin transfer works, how the balls react off of one another, and that's how I'm able to know that I can make that shot. That shot is possible. Coat the cue ball with silicone and it won't burn the cloth. Yeah, but it'll also like fly across the table. Ooh, Todd, you know what? I really, really like that idea. Play with my offhand against my other hand in a race to 5 for practice. I might try making a video out of that. I think that's a really, really cool idea. Because I automatically know that I play better with my right hand than I do my left hand. But in a given match setting, which hand would actually outperform the other? That's actually a really good idea. The grim perspective. So this is my analogy of how I am with hardware. So the short answer is no. I have not considered refelting it myself, because I want to make sure that it's done professionally. I do believe in making that you hire professionals to do professional work, and of course, if the professional does not do professional quality work, then that's where you make your complaints, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, I would want to learn. Right, so I actually have a buddy who makes a living working on tables, and so I'm going to pay him appropriately to come and refelt my table. So of course, when he's taking apart the table, and I see where all the staples are that are holding the felt down, how the felt is put onto the rails and stuff, I'm going to watch and try to observe and learn how the stuff is actually done. So I eventually can maybe do it myself. But the example that I was going off of with me being a software developer guy, when they ask like, would you do something yourself? I always say that as a software developer, if you want me to program a light bulb, that's what I can do. But if you want me to screw in the light bulb, that's somebody else's job. Yeah, XT bum. It wasn't my shoulder that was hurting. It was actually my elbow that was injured. So I had some swelling around here in my joint. So my elbow was only like in this position here. I couldn't straighten it out anymore, and I couldn't bend it anymore. So on an APA league night, I had it all wrapped in an ace bandage and stuff, and I had to inform my opponent that I'm going to play him left-handed, so I didn't want him to be insulted. So I showed him how my arm was all wrapped up and stuff, and I can't really move my arm. So my arm was like always bent when I was using it as a bridge, and I managed to win my APA match 5-1, and I even had a break and run in that match. But I played so much slower, and I actually did learn a lot about my game on that particular night. Hey, Talisha Gaines, Merry Christmas and have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, XC Bum, it was with no handicap. It was a straight race to 5. One-handed, no rail, just one rack. I can give that a try. I'll try it with 9-ball. And then I'll probably try another straight pull rack after this. So let's see. Now I'm at least going to break, with a rail, but then during the game I'll try not to use a rail when I shoot. I'm not going to be breaking really hard, so I'll just use my shooting cue here. So I'll at least start with the break with the rail, but then after that I'll try with no rail. Almost made the wing ball. All right, this is going to hurt. Or matter of fact, let me at least start with ball in hand. Yeah, this is going to hurt. This might take a while. So the only way I know how to do this I didn't even get position. I'll try again. Especially since I'm doing 9-ball and I have to do this in rotation. Or should the rules have been shoot any ball that I want? Because this is the only way I know how to play with one hand using no rail. Nah, that's gonna be a foul. You can see this is hard. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's definitely difficult. That's gonna be too soft. Has anybody ever seen the movie Gladiator? Are you not entertained? Oh, geez. Let's try that again. There we go. Hey, there's a good shot. I can't do the rest on the table part. I have to air hit this. 3 in a row. Oh, it's too straight. I'm gonna miss. So three in a row. Let's try it again from back here. There we go. That should go in. So if you ever wonder about the importance of a straight stroke, like this is an example of it, and basically having a steady hand, especially when one end of the cue is heavier than the other because of where you're holding it. Like if this were more evenly balanced, I might be able to do better, but I'd have to make sure to train my muscles to hold the cue better. Oh, overcut. But what was my highest run? 3? But see, the point of all this is that this doesn't benefit anybody. This is like either having fun or just showing off. There's no real benefit to playing like this, unless of course you have to play like this for some reason. But then you would end up using the rail if you had because of physical limitations. Bank shot. There we go. Almost. All right. Let's see. Spot on the wall. I will use the rail on this one. Close enough, right? Eric Poole guy in the movie Gladiator. It was Russell Crowe. Ooh, TBZ. That was probably a good idea. If I put my extension on, that might actually balance the weight out. Oh goodness gracious! You guys are just having too much fun with this. Okay, I saw this next, so I'll go ahead and do it. Let me get the 9-ball rack back out. Okay, so the request was the jump cue. Let's have some fun. I'm already a short person, so this feels like a regular cue to me. All right, so let's at least start with ball in hand. I know probably a lot of y'all are going to wonder if I can draw the ball with this. We can definitely start with a stop shot that was. I jumped over the entire thing. Okay, so that'll be ball in hand. Let's see, so under, well, no, I wouldn't do that. What I want to do is try to draw the cue ball into the 8-ball so I can have a shot on the 3. Or stun the cue ball, rather. So even with a phenolic tip, as long as you can cue straight, you can get action on the cue ball. You just have to be more accurate. You can't have a twitch in your stroke, because then the phenolic tip will just slide right off of the cue ball. Like that. That was without side spin. And I'm either going to cut this in or possibly make the 8-ball. Or do neither. So this is with bottom left. If you're wondering if you can draw with the phenolic tip. See, it is possible. Or putting bottom spin on the cue ball with the phenolic tip is possible. And this feels weird. There we go. So it's not like I'm breaking and running with these, but thoughts on a beginner starting on a 9-foot table? I mean, when I started actively studying how to play the game, it was on a 9-foot table. So I don't really think the size of the table really matters as long as you're learning the basics of the game. You are starting in a harder setting, because the balls have to travel farther. The cue ball has to travel farther for position and stuff. So we all can agree that it's easier to play on a 7-foot table than it is to play on an 8-foot table, and playing on an 8-foot table is easier than playing on a 9-foot table. Corner 4 billiards, man. The $2.99 was too much, right? I really appreciate that because I enabled the super chat stuff just to have it enabled if anybody feels the need to use it, and I really deeply appreciate the super chat donation. But thanks for stopping by, bud. We'll hook up again and talk about some stuff still. Eight-ball run-out, how to jump with a full cue. I tried demonstrating that on my last stream, and I'm not the greatest jumper anymore with a full cue unless maybe like with my break cue. The harder the tip, the easier it is to jump. And the problem that I have with using a full cue that I even explained in my jump videos is that I'm only able to clear about a quarter of the ball. I'm not able to do a full ball jump shot with a full cue. I have to be able to use a jump cue in order to clear over a full ball. I know some buddies of mine that can jump really good with full cues. I actually know a buddy of mine that can jump the cue ball one-handed when the cue ball's on the rail. I wouldn't necessarily go that I'll do anything for subs, Nick G. I'm just doing what the viewers ask in this fun live environment. I mean, I did mention before about how like it serves no benefit to play the game one-handed unless you actually had a physical limitation and wanted to learn how to play the game one-handed. Play with a broomstick. I'm not going to do that. Reply about my APA play and ranking. Well, let me go look. I meant in a no handicap in your match against yourself. Oh, that was already a suggestion someone made earlier. They said to do a race to five where I shoot with my right hand against my left hand, and I think that's actually a really good idea. I am actually going to try that. I'm not going to try it tonight because I'm pretty close to calling it a night, but it is something that I'm probably going to do. Well, good, North Star. I mean, that's at least what I want to do. Is like, I know I try to do a lot of educational type stuff, but I do try to be entertaining as well. It doesn't have to be like all work. There can't be some fun. And I didn't take it as an insult, Nick G. I do want you to know that. Nathan Meyer, play with no hands. I do believe there is I think I don't know if I want to say Indian or Middle Eastern. There is a guy that I know that doesn't have any arms, and I think he plays snooker with his chin, either his chin or his mouth. You'd have to look it up, but that is a thing. Like I said, when you have a physical limitation and you truly want to learn how to do something, nothing will stop you with a determined mentality or personality. So XT, just retype what your other question was, and I'll try to answer it. Hey Walden, have a good night, bud. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, let me see if I can find it. Snooker player with chin. Yeah, his name is Muhammad Ikram, and here's actually a. Well, let me verify that it's a YouTube video of him before I put it in the chat. Yeah, this is him. So let's do this. Let's do a share, copy, come back over here, and here is the video for y'all. Like this is amazing. Like go check out this video. Oh, holy crap. TBV, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. And thanks again for stopping by. So I hope you have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and if I don't see you again until the new year, have a happy new year. Isaac the Amish boy, I'm doing good. Just putting on a little Christmas stream for everybody to enjoy to wind their evening down. G-Man, do ever play anyone that's had too many, and can you notice in their play? Absolutely. That's happened a couple of times, and when that does start to happen, I do try to gracefully bow out of the game because I don't want to be that person looked at as someone that's taking advantage of someone that's too inebriated to play. Likewise, TBZ, thank you so much. All right, so things have slowed down. Let's try another straight pull rack. I did what, 12 last time? Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can get to at least rack 2. So we are pretty much going to start off the same way because it gives us the best spread to start with, and that's cutting the one ball into the side pocket and then driving the cue ball into the 2 head balls. Let me double check that the cameras are okay, and they are. You almost couldn't ask for a better start than that. All right, so let's see here. Let's do 8-ball corner pocket. Got to figure out how to open up that corner pocket over there. Let's do 2 on the side. I'm going to push the cue ball forward a little bit because I want to cut the 9-ball in and then drive the cue ball into the clutter here to see if I can open stuff up. Oh, and I missed. Goodness gracious. And I even made the clutter worse. So there's a low score. What did I make? 3 before I missed? Let's try that again. So the spread really wasn't all that great, like in comparison to what I got when I completed the challenge. Let's try this again. And I missed the opening shot. And like I mentioned before on my last virtual match that was this past Tuesday, like allowing you all to see me make mistakes like this allows me to play more comfortably in the virtual matches, because I mean, I'm more than willing to admit that I'm human. I make mistakes, even most rudimentary mistakes like missing ball and hand shots. And the more comfortable I am when I'm actually playing, then the better I start to play because there's less stuff clouding my mind. There we go. There's a really good spread. Even made 2 extra balls after the break. So let's see how many points I can score off of this. If I had to choose right now what my break ball might be, it's probably going to be the 2-ball, maybe even the 12-ball if I can just nudge it out a little bit more. We'll start with the 6 in the corner and get the 14 out of the way. play the 10 next, and we'll naturally get position on the 13. You know what the hard part was about making my Run Your Age challenge was the commentary that you do here and there, that I didn't actually stumble on my words. Like that was actually the hardest part to do. Because if I do stumble on my words, then I'll start the whole challenge over. There, so like that little nudge right there, that actually helps. The 12 ball is now a better break ball than the 2 ball. So I might try to use the 12 ball now as a break ball. You'll notice in straight pull that there's really not a whole, or there shouldn't be really a whole lot of cue ball movement. Cue ball movement should be rather small. Every now and again, you might have to turn the cue ball loose, but for the most part, you should try to keep it small. And I say that as I allow the cue ball to move like that. I'm trying to figure out. I think the 4 ball is going to be the ball that I use to set up for the break ball. Yikes. This is less than ideal because now my cue ball has to go from side to side, and I would really like my cue ball to be like maybe like right here when I shoot the 12 ball, because then I can cut the 12 into the corner pocket and then drive the cue ball into the rack. But since my cue ball is going to be going side to side, it's going to be more difficult for me to get the position that I want. Let alone I still have to make the shot first, and this is not an easy shot. And if memory serves correctly, if the cue ball is in the rack, which it is, there's a ruling for that. Let me go look at it. I think I'm allowed to move the cue ball to the head string. Okay, so yes, it looks like I'm allowed to move the cue ball to the head string. So someone's gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong. But if I just quickly glanced over the rules. So that's 14 points. And now re-rack the balls. I can now move the cue ball to the head string. Is it the head string or the head spot? Maybe that's what I need to clarify. Does anybody know? Currently don't see anything. Let's see here. Yeah, it just says behind the head string. So now I can purposely try to set the angle that I want. And let's see if I can make the 12 and break the rack open. And not the greatest of breakouts. So we're going to try the 7 ball, and I'll have automatic position for the 2. This is not an easy shot either. There we go. Let's see. I can see that the 5 ball is good, so if I get the correct angle on the 5 ball, I should be able to open the clutter up a little bit more. So I'm just going to try to gently roll the cue ball. Oh, I didn't get the angle, so this isn't going to work. Let's see, what can I do? I have the 9 ball as an alternative, but that's not going to really help with anything. Man. So looks like I can cheat the pocket a little bit, and I might be able to get position for the 9 in the side pocket over here. And that doesn't help because I can't do anything after that. I make the ball, the cue ball goes down table. So let me try to start studying the clutter and see if I can do anything. Like I might be able to do a combo right now, the 6-1 combo. Because in straight pool, you are supposed to call your shots. In my video, you didn't see me call a single shot because I was doing obvious shots. So I am going to try the combo. But in an actual regular match, you're supposed to call the ball and call the pocket that you're going for. So here, 9 ball side pocket. Oh, and then my run ends. So that was 14 plus whatever I have down here. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I have a total of 19 points on that go around. So this is the rules that I'm reading for straight pool. And there's a table. If you go to section 4, there's a table that kind of explains that if the 15th ball is in the rack and the cue ball is in the rack, it says that the 15 ball will go to the foot spot and the cue ball will go behind the head string. Or did I read this wrong? There's a table here that explains it. I think I interpreted it correctly. Oh, G-Man, thanks so much for the $4.99 super chat. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, XP Bum, it is all downhill since my first rack was hitting my age. KCNO, man, thanks for stopping by. Hope you have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. And yes, XD Bump Straight Pull is a really good game because it really forces you to look at patterns. You know, because it's real easy to just run the balls out if you get that good spread off of the break ball. But unless you're planning on what the next break ball is going to be, it's it's real difficult to set up for that break ball to try to come up with the specific pattern that's going to give you the correct position on the break ball in order to be able to make the break ball and then be able to spread the rack back open again. But now that we've done that, let's go back to doing 9-ball because that's ultimately what we need to stay warm for the virtual tournament, is making sure that we can score nines or 11s in Bang Time's tournament. So I'll do a couple more racks and then answer a few more questions if there are any, and then call it a night. Okay. Double check that everything's okay, and we are. Okay, stay out of the way, 2-ball. Okay, I can try this without a ball in hand. Don't really see any difficult transitions here. Except for that one, because I needed to be straight on the 3-ball. That would have made the transition easier. Now my cue ball is going to go from side to side. Yay! That's how you screw up an 11. Ugh. I honestly do not know if I can jump over that 9-ball. That is pretty close. But I am going to try to cut the 4-ball into the side pocket. I mean, the kick shot looks like it's there, but I am going to try to jump this. Yeah, I couldn't jump over. I think I would have to dart the. I would have to use the dart grip to try to jump over the 9-ball. So yeah, where was my mistake? Not really how I shot the 3-ball. Of course, if I would have executed the 3-ball appropriately, there wouldn't have been any issue with the rest of the rack. But my mistake was how I transitioned from the 2-ball to the 3-ball. So if I fix that transition, then everything else is fine. Where's the 8-ball? So that's usually what I refer to as learning what your mistake was. Of course, it's a mistake that I didn't get position from the 3 to the 4. Of course, that's the mistake. But what caused the mistake was the position from the 2 to the 3. So fix the position from the 2 to the 3, then the 3 to the 4 mistake doesn't happen. Okay, let's try not to screw this one up. Got to make sure I don't touch the 7 ball when I come back here for position on the 2. This is the same thing. It's not the greatest of positions. I could have gotten better because now my cue ball is going to be moving. And this is also not an easy shot. There you have it. So let's see if I can bank this ball in. Nope, overbanked it. So that's what, 0 for 2 now? And then all due to poor cue ball execution. So let's try one more. So what's the saying? Save the best for last. So hopefully I'm successful with running this one. Oh, yuck. Let me check the 2 ball. Yeah, I have to break the 2 ball out. So I have to take ball in hand on this one. Is the combo wired? It is not wired. Oh, this is terrible. Even if I break this out, I'm not guaranteed for a shot. Nope, I didn't get the breakout. So what I can try to do is make the 2 ball off of the 4 ball, because the 5 ball blocks the path. But if I clip the 4 ball just right, I might be able to make it. And also the 7 ball might bank cross side if I don't cut this enough. If I cut this enough, the 7 ball should get hit by the cue ball. Did I get lucky? No, I didn't. All right, I know I said that was the last one, but I do want to try to end this on a good note. Let's try this again. Okay, still try this with no ball in hand. This is pretty much what I'm looking for in the tournament, is opportunities to be able to score 11s. And of course, if I don't get them, I don't get them. But I at least want the opportunities at them. My last one, I only had one opportunity. And the 5 from the 6 is looking to be the most difficult transition. Not sure how I want to play this one. That really wasn't what I had in mind. The cue ball was supposed to come over here so I can shoot the 5 on the side and have natural positions for the 6 ball. So now I have to try to back cut the 5 ball, not scratch, and still get position on the 6 ball. This is going to be interesting. Oh my goodness, did I get lucky? And there we go. That would be an 11 in Bang Time's virtual tournament. Whew. So that's where I'll probably end the stream for tonight, but I will talk to y'all for a little bit before I end. What do we got here? Yes, Isaac, the Amish boy. In the virtual tournament that I'm in, you get one opportunity after the break to try to be able to run the table. So if you miss, the rack is over, and you score whatever points based on the number of balls that you dropped. Okay, so does anybody have any more questions that they would like me to try to answer? I don't pretend like I have all the answers, but I do try to give, at least sound advice. What do you wish you knew as a beginner? I would probably have to say getting position on the correct side of the shot line. And what I mean by that is, how you can have position on a ball so that you can shoot the ball in, right? But then there's the good position, that you can have on a ball to where the next position after that is just easier to do. So I will do this as a simple example. Let's see here. How do I want to do this? So as a simple example, there's nothing wrong with running the table like this. If I'm able to run the table. You just do something like that, and let me make the shot a little bit easier. You do something like that because then you have to do something like this. Right, to try to run the table. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing that because, like, you're successful at doing that, right? So I'm not I'm not trying to say that there's anything wrong with it, but it's easier to get out if you try to do all the hard work up front. So like the hard work in that last run out pattern was when I shot the 2 ball to get from the 2 to 9. That was the hard work. So what I wish I knew as a beginner was to be able to play good position where I'm going to do all the hard work up front. Because now look where I'm at on the 2 ball. And how much easier it is to get position on the 9 ball. That's what I wish I knew how to do as a beginner, because at the time I would just play position to just play position, and then you come to find out there's just a whole lot of work that you have to do in order to be able to finish the game. But like I said, there's nothing wrong with doing all that work as long as you're successful. But you do want to try to play the game easier. Make the runouts easier on yourself. So I hope that makes sense. One DDE graph. I think that's how you say your username. How about your mental routine before a big tournament? So all I know is I'm as good as what I know how to do, right? And so like I can't scale that towards anything. There are things that I know how to do, and I know that there are things that I currently cannot do, like be able to accurately power draw a shot. When more times than not, I don't want to accurately power draw a shot. I want to, like what I did, like what I just demonstrated. I want to be able to smoothly transition from one shot to the next. I'm about to sneeze. Okay, maybe not. So to mentally prepare for a big tournament, what I basically try to do is, go to the tournament with what I know how to do and play within the realms of my capabilities, my abilities, my skill set, in order to find out if it's good enough or not. Because I know that there will be better players than me. So as long as I know that I'm performing to the best of my ability and I still lose, then I know that I just need to get better. I need to figure out where my weaknesses are and just get better. And then because it's different than if I'm not playing to my expectation, where like I'm having a bad night, then I just need to figure out what fundamental flaws I have in my game that are causing me to have a bad night. Because I would rather play my best and lose than play badly and lose, because then I can really scale myself as to what I truly do need to work on. So I've gotten to a point now to where my opponent really doesn't matter to me, but in all honesty, like it'll have just some effect. Like if I know how good the opponent is, like if I'm playing up against a professional. So of course there'll be like a little mental psych out there, but again, I'm still going to go into the game. I'm still going to do my best, play safeties when necessary, play everything within my skill set. And if I lose, I'm going to try to assess, well, where did I lose? Like I said before on the racks that I didn't run out, where was the mistake? The mistake wasn't just on the ball that I missed. In the examples or in the racks that I did here recently, the mistake was the previous shot. Right? So then I know how I need to be able to correct where the mistakes are so that I don't make them again in the future. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to do it all the time, but it's just being aware of where my flaws are. So when I mentally prepare for all of that to go into a tournament, that's pretty much what I'm doing. It's like, okay, just go in here and do your best, because at the end of the day, it does not matter. So as long as I get my chance at the table, I'm going to do what I know how to do. I'm going to run out when I can run out, and I'm going to try to play defensive when I need to play defensive. And at some point in time, if I just make a mistake during any of those things, then I make a mistake, and that's where I start to learn. So I hope that answers your question. Tim Z, if you're asking what tip is on my Revo shaft, it came with a Victory Soft. What are my favorite games? Will Boland. It currently would be 9-ball, and that also includes 10 rotation, I should say, rotation pool. But I'm a really big fan of 3-cushion billiards, even though I don't really get to play it all that often. When I finally got my first exposure to playing 3-cushion, like the game is just fun. And I wish like we had some 3-cushion tables in my immediate area. I currently have to travel about a little over an hour to get to the closest 3-cushion table, like actual 5x10 3-cushion table. Never got a reply to my APA question. All right, let me see if I can find it. Did you retype it? Good breakout. Shot too quickly. Played my first match against a beginner where I broke and ran, and then in another GM, a 2-inning GM. Subsequent matches were close where I won 3 or 4, whitewashed and a loss. Why am I rated a 6? Is that your question? Why you're rated a 6? XT Bum, is that the question that you're talking about? Yeah, okay, so you're asking why you're a 6. So it's a long, complicated answer, really, to where you can't just equate it on one particular night, because it's supposed to take into account how many times you shoot, how many times you've won, against who you've won, and how many times you've lost against who you've lost. Like, it's not really penalizing if, for example, let's just say you're a 4. It's not really penalizing to you if you lose against a 6 or a 7 versus if you beat a 6 or 7. Just like it's not really penalizing to you if you beat as a skill level 4 and you beat a skill level 2, right? So like it has some effect, but it all just really depends. And then over the course of the long haul, that's when your stuff really starts to settle in. So regardless of like how many times you're winning or losing, like how many shots are being taken during the matches? Because if you're currently a 6 and you're averaging, like, offhand, if you're averaging about 5+ innings, I think, a match, I think that keeps you at about a 6. Like, you have to start, at least in my area, what it appears to be is that you have to be able to start averaging in, like, 3 or 4 innings or less to be considered a 7. Of course, having wins on top of that, because again, even though innings aren't a huge factor, they are a factor, because if you have like long innings, but you're also 100% win rate, like your skill level is going to go up. Like you can't expect a skill level 2 to have 10 games in for the session, wins at 100%, and averages 12+ innings and still be a 2 by the end of the session. Like, I would find that very odd if that would happen. I would expect them to go up to a 3 and then eventually go up to a 4, but then once they start going up, then you're going to start seeing a bunch of wins and losses start to come in after that, and then the actual true ranking will start settling itself in. And that's, of course, if the players are actually playing to the best of their ability. I don't want to really get into the topic of sandbagging. Ricky Hall, what is one skill that you really need to work on? Kicking. So like when I kick, my general rule of thumb is kick to hit or kick to make, and that's really it. And I usually can be fairly accurate with kick to make, but when it comes to kick to hit, I need to be able to fine tune it to where I can kick to hit but play safe at the same time, which causes my which makes the need for being more accurate at my kicks in order for that to happen. All lower rated opponents. So let me look at your question one more time, because I think you're saying that you have lost more to lower rated rated opponents. So you had one decent match against a beginner, and then a subsequent match where you win 3 or 4, but then you lose. Yeah. So I like, as a data person, I just don't think there's enough data that you're giving me to be able to say, like, well, are you supposed to be a 6 or are you supposed to be a 5? Like, I just don't think there's enough data right now to be able to conclude like what your skill level is just based on that explanation. But if you were to continue to lose with that same example, then personally, I would expect your skill level to go down. Yeah, you lost once to a five, like that. That doesn't mean anything. If you lost once to a five, that just means you lost to a five. If you repeatedly lose to a five, then like that would probably pull your rank down a bit. But losing once doesn't mean anything. Horatio, yeah, that's true. There are players that play lower to their abilities, so that they can be paired with lower players and have a higher chance of being successful. I mean, that's what sandbagging is not playing to the full potential of your skill. Hey, Eric, have a good night, bud. Thanks for stopping by. Isaac the Amish boy, the highest rank that you can have in APA for 8 ball is a skill level 7, and the lowest you can be is a 2. And for 9 ball, the lowest you can be is a 1, and the highest you can be is a 9. And if you're wondering what my skill level is, I'm a 7 in 8 ball, and I'm a 9 in 9 ball. Hey, Robin, you just ran 24 in straight pool. That's actually really good. That's almost 2 full racks. Yeah, Ricky, the Ricky Hall. There's no 8 in 8 ball. It would be a 7. That's the cap. But okay, everybody. I think this has been a long enough stream. I'm closing in on 3 hours and 30 minutes. I always enjoy doing this stuff, but I am starting to get a little tired. And it looks like some of the chat has slowed itself down. So I want to give a huge thank you to everybody that did manage to stop by on this evening Christmas stream for everybody. I hope I was able to provide at least some entertainment with some of the stuff that I did here, but then also be able to answer questions that people might be able to have. I don't always have all the answers, but I do try to give sound answers that hopefully you can find helpful. So I don't know when the next time I'm going to be live because on Monday I am going to be flying to Minnesota to train with Demetrius in his boot camp. I might try to do a live stream up there and try to get Demetrius in on the live stream so you can talk to both me and Demetrius. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I won't really be able to share any of his secrets to his boot camp training, but whatever he does give me permission to share, I will more than likely share. And I do believe we are going to try to do like an exhibition match, so you'll be able to see Demetrius beat up on me. But that's what at least I have planned for next week. So like I said, depending upon scheduling and stuff, like I said, I don't know if I'll be live streaming while I'm in Minnesota, but we'll see. So just as a reminder, don't forget to tune in to Bang Time Pool's virtual tournament. There is a match tomorrow, and the winner of that match will be scheduled to play me when I get back. So if you want to know who's going to be my next opponent, then be sure to tune in to Bang Time Pool's virtual tournament tomorrow to see who my next opponent is going to be. So until the next time I go live, I hope everybody had a wonderful, happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. And if I don't see you again until the new calendar year, have a Happy New Year. Take care, everybody.